Welcome, everybody. This is your host, your humble and grateful medical intuitive, Abigail White of Breath of Life Conversations. I'm so excited for you guys to be here for this episode. I have a really amazing individual. I have never actually spoken to someone with this job, so I'm really so excited to get into this and really understand the ins and outs of it. This is Sue Kennedy. I'm going to let her tell you her story and let her introduce herself, but she is a book coach. Is that right, Sue? Is that like the official title?
Yes.
Book coach who specializes in helping those who have gone through trauma and who are now ready to tell their story. So Sue, please introduce yourself. Please let us know who you are, what you do, your story. Start from any floor, please.
Thank you so much, Abby, for having me. It's very exciting. I'm very excited to be here. So, yes, I am a book coach. My business is called the Author Academy, and it all started, a few years back now. I actually I had everything, I had the house, the husband, the dog, all that kind of stuff, and it all came crashing down. So I fell into a really dark place, considered suicide, and it was only because of my dogs that they sort of could, sense and knew that something was not right with Mum. So they pulled me out of it, thankfully, because I'm still here today and they are still here with me. They're now very old, but they're still here and I'm so grateful. And so from that moment, I didn't actually realize that I had really bad depression. And so I went and did some research on that, more so to help myself, which it did. And I just started writing and putting all the information down that I had found. And then I thought, well, wouldn't this be good to actually put it into a book so that I can help others as well? So I did. So from there, of course, I went on and did a whole heap of other books. And the one that then sort of, I suppose, took me to the next level with it all was the one that I wrote about how to write a book. Because everyone kept saying to me, well, how do you keep doing this? So I thought, well, maybe I need to write a book about how to write a book. So I did. And from there, I started running workshops and helping other people. So now I have some coaching packages where I actually, and I've got a unique 5-step method that I've now honed because, when I was doing it, there was no such thing as book coaches or author coaches or anything like that. So I had to sort of do it all on my own. And I really wished I would have had someone I could have reached out to and got the help to guide me through it.
Isn't that amazing? Isn't that amazing how that happens, where we always become the thing that we wish that we had?
Yes. And it happens so often. A lot of people don't connect it, but I have. But so I have a couple of unique processes in there as well, so that we can, unblock what is blocking, because especially when it's something that people have gone through as far as a traumatic experience, we do tend to try and block it out because we don't want to keep reliving it. Of course we don't. So the processes that I've got that help you guide you through that don't actually make you relive it. It brings it to the forefront, but it's a gentle, nice process where you can actually move your way through it. So it's awesome.
So talk to us a little bit more about this 5-step thing. I want people to go to you and work with you. So please keep secrets to yourself. But if you're open to sharing some of your process with us, just to give us a taste of it, I would love that. I know that there are so many people that are, what's the word I'm looking for? They're a little hesitant to work with somebody because people will say, you know what, you're not going to have to relive what you've been through, or what even like you're currently maybe still like struggling with. And I think that there are a lot of therapists and life coaches out there that say that, and then these individuals go and work with them and they become re-traumatized. And
Mm.
so, how is your process different?
So I have a couple of different, okay, so I'd go through the normal stuff of helping you gather everything for your book and working through the step-by-step of getting it written and done. But
Mhm.
the like finding out what the outline is, and then, working through then all the other bits and pieces that go in with all that. So I do all the normal kind of stuff as far as book writing. But then my unique processes, so I've got two, and the reason I have two is because one is we go to the canvas. Now, not everyone is comfortable going to a blank canvas, and I get that, because I even sometimes go, oh my goodness, it's blank. What am I going to put on there? Even I sort of go, but I've, learned how to get past that now. So I've got that, where if people are happy to go down that road, happy to take them, because I am an intuitive coach as well, as far as like painting, and I'm also an art therapist. So I've got all that kind of skill behind me and experience behind me. I also have a new thing that I have just implementing now, and it's called neurographic art. And I'm not sure if you've heard of it. It's fairly new on the market.
Yeah, really new.
It's very new, but I absolutely love it. And I am able to now coach people using that. So it's a nice, gentler way, because you only have to have a piece of paper and like a pen and colored pencils or markers or something. And it's not so scary.
What made you decide to use art as a way to help people access the information that they need to move through their trauma in a way that allows them to not get stuck within it? Because I think any artist out there that has been doing it for a while, or is just starting and realizing how cathartic it can be to get it out of us, right, out of our bodies, really hears that, and they're like, oh yeah, that makes total sense. But I think there are some people out there too that will be like, well, if I put it down on canvas, am I then just like staring at myself? And they kind of get into this, well, Dorian Gray had this whole portrait thing, looking at his sins every day, kept him young, but do I really want to be staring at my sins all the time, or the trauma? What made you decide to go into art with your clients?
Okay, so I've done this on myself, of course, personally, for a few different things. One was I had a fairly traumatic childhood, so I did it firstly for that. And I actually did a painting around depression as well, that actually hung in the Parliament House here in Sydney.
Mm-hmm.
So, and like just going back to quickly to what you're saying, is that you're staring at it. Well, when I did it, yes, there were, but there's different layers. Okay, there's layers and layers. So when you have the finished product, yes, you'll put all those things down on those layers, but the end layer is beautiful to look at. And the layer that you're actually looking at all the time is the one that shows you where you have now got to. So you've actually come through it, and it's a beautiful thing to look at. Now, the other thing that I then got cancer a few years ago and went, wow, okay, what's going on there? So I went, I'm going to use my process and use that to get through it, and which I did. Because everyone kept saying to me, my goodness, I can't believe how positive you are. It's as if you don't even have cancer. The fact that you lost your hair is about the only reason we know that you've got it. So it's because I worked my way through it with my art.
I love that. Guys, this is one of like the biggest things. I just did a post about this too, about mindset being like that's the foundation, honestly. And I'm sure, Sue, you can speak to this too, of with your clients and your work, that like at the end of the day, if you're going to sit and say that like this is the worst thing that has ever happened to you, you will never get through it. And there is no point to any of it. Getting yourself into that loop, number one, makes it really hard to get out, but two, it also creates a lot of physical manifestations in the body, whether that be illness, whether that be depression, like mental illness. Doesn't really matter what it is. Once you're in that space, getting out of it can be incredibly difficult. So I'm always, especially since I work with individuals who are already ill, a lot of the time, trying to get them to a place where they understand, what, if you're working through it, like you said, layer by layer, if you're really, getting yourself to a place where you can say, you know what, this isn't the worst thing. It's not great. Don't get me wrong. This sucks. It's not great, but not the worst thing. Let's figure out where we can shift even a little bit of this mindset, just a little bit, because the little bit helps us get a little bit more shifted and a little bit more shifted. And eventually, your whole outlook on something, your whole perspective of it shifts. And through practice, I'm sure that you like really notice this, especially going through your cancer, to be like, with practice, this gets a lot easier. It gets a lot faster.
Yep, exactly. Well, I know, and this was prior to getting cancer. I worked so hard on myself because, yes, you're right. You fall into that negative thinking, and every time I would just catch myself, and I'd be like, "No, stop it. You need to stop this." And I would just say, "Look, thank you so much, but I've got this. You just go down to I've got a dam down in front of me. You just go down to beside the dam with your cask of wine. You go and enjoy that. And I'm going to continue on my day without your negativity. Thank you anyway."
Yes.
And I kept doing that. And eventually it was, it becomes less and less. So.
With your clients, do you find that you end up attracting a particular type of trauma to you? Is it similar to yours, or is it vastly different? What do you end up seeing most with your clients?
No, yes, you always attract the people that, you're supposed to. And of course, it was mainly people that had gone through depression. And funny enough, domestic violence is another one. And I used to always think, oh my goodness, why? But it was because of what my father did to my mother and I. So it was kind of domestic violence, so that it makes complete sense. And of course, people with depression, and of course, people with cancer as well now. So they're the main ones, yeah.
Do you find that now, being that like your focus, right, with your clients is having them put together their story, that like getting them through, because you do have that connection, that getting them through the process is easier or faster? Does it kind of feel like you've become like a magician of like writing like trauma books?
Well, I think it's because you've been through it yourself that you can completely understand what your client's going through. So it just makes it so much easier because you completely understand. I mean, I had a gentleman, I remember coming one time to class. It was hilarious. He was the most beautiful human being. And he was I think he did see clients like, helping them through different things. And like depression was one of them. And he said to us in the class, "Well, what is depression and what's it feel like?" And I'm like, "What? You've never been through it?" And he's like, "No." And I said, "Well, how can you help your clients if you
Right.
don't completely understand?" And he went, "Oh, that's a good point." So, it just makes it so much easier when you are on that same level as your client and know what's going on for them.
Mm. With being a book coach and being somebody whose like job is not like is to help them structure their story, it's got to be an interesting process to watch their books come into existence, watching them actually birth it out of themselves. Everybody has got to be slightly different in terms of how they are presenting their story. Has anything ever shocked you about how somebody has wanted to present their story, or is that just something that you're like, it's just fun?
Yeah, no, nothing has shocked me. I find it all very exciting and lots of fun. So yeah. I remember one time one group of people we had, I'll just share this quickly because I think it's hilarious. Not that it has anything to do with trauma, but it was about writing their personal story. And she said, well, my life's a bit boring. I don't really know, I don't really have anything. And I went, okay, well, we'll just go around the room and we'll come back to you. Anyway, as we did that, we came back and she started talking about stuff. And I said, so have you thought more about, what you'd like to write about? And I don't even know how we got there, but she went, I'm actually going to write a book about erotica. And we're like, what? It's like, how do we go from, I don't know what I want to write about, to that? But anyway, she started writing about that and it was quite good.
Wow, that's awesome. And like, was it sexual trauma that she was going through or had gone through? Is that where
Well,
like her?
clearly, yeah, there was some connection. She didn't really talk about it. She sort of said, I don't really want to share too much and read it out because I'm just a bit embarrassed at the moment. And I said, that's fine, because we were in a group as well. So maybe if it would have been one-to-one, she would have been more comfortable in sharing that. But so clearly there was some kind of connection there
Sure.
with sexual trauma.
So I guess my original thought process was that the clients that are working with you are actually on their way to wanting to publish their books. Is that not the case? Is this a more so like, yes, that is one potential route, but a lot of people come to you just saying like, how do I just get this out?
I get both types of people. So one that, they've got an idea and they want my help from, getting that idea into a book and then published. Or some people come and say, I've already got the book. Can you help me now, get that published?
Interesting. I guess I had never really thought about the fact that there might be like people out there like, I'm going to write my memoir, basically, like my trauma memoir, but then I'm just going to like leave it on a shelf. Like, I think we hear so often people saying your story is the thing that connects you to the world. And it's the thing that helps us impact the world. If we don't tell our story, then how can we impact? And kind of takes me back to when the Me Too movement and all of that was real out in the public. I mean, it is still, but the surge of it and people saying, I just wasn't ready until now. And a lot of them had done something similar to this where they had written stuff down. They had written out their story. They had their selves recorded and they just had left it. Is there something that you have found, some sticky point that somebody has to get over before they're willing to share with the world or with their family or just with a piece of the public, something specific that they have to get over?
Yes, and this is why I brought the art into it, because they get to that, some of them get to a point where they get blocked for some reason or another, and they're not even sure why. And usually it is about, because we push some of that so far back because we don't want to deal with it. But it's got to, if you leave that there, that can be dangerous. You need to bring that out and get rid of it. So hence why, getting it out of your head and into, onto paper or a computer, basically into a book. And again, you know, they don't have to actually publish it if they don't want to. They can just, it's just such a healing process to be able to do that. I mean, we can have a burning ceremony if they like, you know, that's a possibility as well. So some people might be happy to do that. But yeah, but as I say, yeah, that the art part is where we can get them across that hump in the road, if there is one.
Gotcha. Talk to us about Author Academy. How does one join? What is it? Is it, you know, individual classes that you just sign up for, the ones that you're interested in? Is it a whole course? How does that work?
I have got a few different courses on there, but the main thing that I'm focusing on is the book coaching. So I do have a few packages available, which includes printing and editing and formatting and all that. However, I have packages, so if it's someone from the US or anywhere else in the world, I do have it so that it's, you know, maybe the printing isn't included because maybe the postage would be too much, but I do have different, packages. But I also have, and you might like to share this with your audience, I'm happy to have a 30-minute heartstorming session with anyone that is interested. So
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes. We will make sure that we get all of your information from Author Academy and all of your links and things like that in the show notes, because I truly, truly believe that there are a great many people who are going to watch this and be like, I didn't even know that this existed. I've definitely had my fair share of trauma. I don't know how to get through it. I've tried everything. Therapy is not working. And I'm a firm believer that things like this, where we are in control of it, I think that's a really, really big piece. And I'm interested to hear your thoughts on this, about what that does for somebody to be in control of when and how their trauma gets to come up and out, instead of sitting in front of somebody not knowing what the next thing out of somebody's mouth is going to be. So for your clients, has anybody ever said to you or spoken about that piece, about their level of control with your process?
I think I do, yes, I agree that the controlling it is important, because yes, you do not want to be able to, you know, be sitting in the middle of a room and then all of a sudden it comes out and you're like, oh, didn't want that to happen. So I gently guide people through the process, and if I can feel that they don't feel comfortable at that moment in time with it all, then we move on to something else, and I come back to when I can feel that they are ready. Like I had a lady, perfect example, that when she was writing the book, I said to her, and it was about her child that she had lost, and I said, you should think of adding this into the book. No, that's not what I want. And I went, okay, no problem, that's fine. So I let it go. And then a month later or something, I came back and I gently said it again, and she was like, no, I don't want that in the book. I said, okay, that's fine, no problem. Anyway, and we went through and, working on the book, and then I said, so have you thought any more about adding that in? She went, actually, yes, I think we should add that. And I went, yes. So, you've just it's got to happen when they're ready. So, but of course, if you're comfortable in letting it out, and even the groups I run, usually you end up in a group of people that are all, some way you're connected, and you end up, they become really good friends. But predominantly I work one-to-one. And of course, you're in a definitely very, very safe environment. So if you need to let it go, then you let it go.
Right. What's your favorite part about this process, this job?
Oh, there's a couple. One is, I love it when the process that I use as far as the art component, when I can see that the difference that it has made for them. it just fills my heart. I just love it. I love being able to see the change that it makes for them. And then, of course, the last thing is when they finally do birth the book, and they're holding it in their hand. I mean, I feel like I've given birth as well. And it's just the most amazing feeling in the world. It just really is, to see your name on that book and know what's gone in to achieve that.
I've heard other authors talk about how when you start a book, you're very different. You're a very different person than when you finish the book. And I'm interested to know, do you feel that way being a coach, being, even though you're not the one writing it, do you feel like you change every single time a book is completed for one of your clients?
Yes, I do feel that. It's different for each book. It's a different feeling, depending on that person's book and their story and what we've been through. But it's, every single time is just amazing. I just love it.
Do you ever find that as you're working with somebody through their story that you find new pieces of your own story that you're thinking to yourself, oh, I didn't quite go through all of it the way that I thought I had? Is there a particular thing that you're willing to share with us?
But it's definitely, actually, I had an aha moment while we were talking. Like when I said to you about the domestic violence, I went, oh yeah, I forgot. Oh, okay, yeah, because I actually went through sitting up. So that was an aha moment this morning. So anyway, but yes, it does. When we're talking with someone or working with someone, usually it is a reflection of what's going on for you. So I truly believe in all that. So it's, as much as it's about them, it's about you as well.
Sue, this has been an absolutely incredible conversation. You guys, I am so excited for you guys to dive deep into Author Academy, see the different packages and courses and things that are available to you. If you have been struggling with depression or any other sorts of trauma, please know that there are resources out there. Sue Kennedy is just one, but she is one of the greats out there. Please check out all the links down below. And if you are wanting to work with myself, you will find all those links down below too. Please remember to click subscribe, comment, and like, and also share. We want this information and all of the beautiful gems that have been shared here today to be disseminated to as many people as possible. So we would totally appreciate your support. Thank you once again for joining me. I am Abigail. This is Sue Kennedy, and this is Breath of Life Conversations. We'll see you next time. Bye.